Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a quick review for you of these guys right here. These are the Rogue Bladeworks scales placed on a Benchmade Mini Bugout. First off, full disclosure though, these guys were sent to me by Rogue Bladeworks themselves. At one point in time, they posted on Reddit a picture of this knife, and I was like, dude, that's pretty, I want one. And they messaged me and said, wait, you want one? I said, I want one. They said, okay. And more importantly, I sent them my disclaimer. Told them I was to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. Might be a gem, might be junk. They still sent it along. We have to assume very best quality controlled scales ever. But nonetheless, I'm doing my best not to let that affect the nature of my review. Next thing, size comparison. These are about the same size as the Benchmade Mini Bugout scales. In practice, actually, they are not exactly the same size. The Rogue Bladeworks scales are just a hair shorter, which is fine. And they're also a little bit thinner, I believe. I can't, necessarily confirm that at every point here because there is some contouring, but at the same time, they feel just a little bit slimmer in the pocket. But practically speaking, they were about the size of a mini Bugout. Then finally, on the before we get into it, I do have a full video talking about installation, showing you exactly how that works, and I gave some of my impressions there, but I've been pretty impressed with them, and so if you want to install them, that's how it works. So let's talk about the good and the not so great about these particular scales. On the good side, these guys are made of very nice materials. You can see here the carbon fiber is nicely done. It is real carbon fiber. If we zoom in a little bit, we can actually see the carbon fiber as it sort of fades away down in this little chamfer area. And similarly, we can see the grain of the carbon fiber there. This is real carbon fiber. It's not like G10 with a carbon fiber sticker along the top, etc. So, to me at least, the materials look nice, and it's got that nice photo effect on it. I'm a big fan of the carbon fiber here. I'll also say that the fit and finish is quite good. These fit the knife exceptionally well. It's worth noting that you can't install them with one, like flip-flop, with one carbon fiber scale because of that slight difference in offset there. But at the same time, the fit on these guys is quite excellent. Next thing on the good side, the overall details on this are quite good. What we'll notice here is a bunch of chamfers. You see like this little area here for your fingers. You see this little logo bit in here. You see chamfers on the inside of the screw holes, chamfers on the inside of this. But then maybe most importantly, or at least most interestingly in the back here, if we look inside, what we see is beautiful internal milling. This is not crucial given the carbon fiber is super lightweight, but it makes the knife even lighter than you would expect otherwise. And so there are all kinds of little details here that show me that the makers give a damn. And so I'm very impressed with the details here. The other thing that makes this knife interesting is that it is super lightweight. Carbon fiber is a lightweight material, but they've taken steps to mill it out further, giving us a weight of 1.48 ounces on the 2.75 inches of blade. And by the way, the balance on this guy is right about where you would want it. Which is great. It would have been very easy for them to, again, accidentally add more, and so throw off the balance. There you go. Don't throw up the balance. I don't think you can do that to a property of a... Anyways, I digress. It would have been easy to screw that up, but they didn't. So I appreciate that very much. Next thing, these guys become, it's a very easy knife to carry anyways, but with this little bit of extra, a little bit of extra thinness and just the lightweight here, this is a supremely easy to carry knife. I'm a big fan of that. And then finally, on the good side, honestly, this classes up the joint, right? Look, I'll admit there's maybe a little bias here because Hunter Orange is not necessarily my color. I am not particularly a hunter. I got no beef with hunter. Well, I guess I'd have no deer. Although I guess you could hunt a cow. Short hunt, though. Anyways, I digress. The bright orange wasn't necessarily my shtick. Putting this on there makes the knife not only more attractive, but it makes it a little bit more classy. It makes it a little bit more stiff, is another nice thing. It just makes it a little bit more. It makes it a little extra. This is a knife, if it were configured just like this coming from Benchmade, this is the model I would recommend to most people. You could do the G10, and in some ways it's nice that you've got the option to buy the original and then decide, oh, I love this size, and then upgrade it. But yeah, so I just feel like this is a substantially better knife. The Benchmade Mini Bugout itself probably wouldn't have stuck around in my collection, but this guy with these scales absolutely will. So to me, at least, all of that is the good here, is that it's made of good materials, it's done with lots of nice little details, it's very carryable, and it just makes the knife overall better. On the bad side, first off, the price on this is not, it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, it's 79 bucks. Look, that's a pair of scales that cost more than a very good knife, I'll give you that. But at the same time, all the details are there, the work has been done, and frankly, I I don't know. I'm pretty okay with this. I got no major beef with the price. I would sure love to see it a little bit less expensive, but I say that about everything. So I'm putting it in the bad, but that's only because it's not like, oh my God, face melting value. It's fine. At 80 bucks, sure, whatever. And they are actually in stock, by the way, at the moment of writing this, which is why part of the reason why it's taken me a little while to get this review out, just because I wanted to wait for them to be reliably in stock before I screw that up again. And so there's that. And then the other thing that, to me at least, this particular area, this little bit of, I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of their logo-ish or something, the flying wing pattern, whatever it is, I'm not as huge a fan of that, but actually looking at their website, they've now got another option with a, like a bit of contouring, so it almost looks like the, contouring on the, oh, come here, Benchmade 940, I know you're here. Here we are. Looks a little bit more kind of like this, with the little bit of contouring cutouts on the inside there. So that could be interesting to a number of folks. But honestly, those are the only things, is that, you know, the price isn't super amazingly high, and it's still... I'm sorry, the price isn't super amazingly low, and I'm not a huge fan of this particular cutout here, even though I don't think it looks particularly bad either. So overall, my final conclusions is that I love these scales. Very often I talk about, you know, and I've talked on the channel before about modding as something where very often, if you have to mod a pocket knife to love it, you probably don't love the knife, but this is kind of a rare example of a mod that is very easy, right? This is something that you order, you drop in a matter of, 20 minutes or something like that, and then the knife just gets better. And I feel like it is really substantially better. It's oftentimes knives, you mod knives and they get different. This is getting better. I like these so much more than the conventional G10 scales, both in terms of hand feel and in terms of aesthetics and pretty much every other damn thing, right? And so I feel like this is kind of a rare case where it's like the bug out is great, and for a lot of people the plastic's going to be great, but this gives you a chance to enjoy a knife that you might not have otherwise, because this really does change the essential nature of it. So I think that this is a piece that these scales, that is, are going to be a great option for somebody to have around. If you are a big fan of the Mini Bugout already and you think to yourself, wow, I like this, but I'd also like to be able to put a second pair of pants on it every so often for a little versatility, then honestly, 80 bucks is going to be less than what you're going to pay for a brand new knife that you would otherwise be buying to sate your consumerist needs, I suppose. Might be a little too on the nose, but hey, whatever. 80 bucks isn't that unreasonable relative to buying a whole other knife entirely, and these are so well done that it feels like this could have been, well, frankly, it feels like it's better than a lot of factories would have put out. So, I don't know. I'm a big fan of these guys. It made this knife a keeper in my collection, and they are substantially good. So, overall, my feelings here are well done, Rogue. These scales, it's weird to call a set of scales a gem, but it's at that level. It's at that level of enthusiasm. Like, every time I look at this and think, do I really need a Benchmade Mini Bugout in my collection? Then I handle it, I carry it, and it's just like, oh yeah, I kind of do. And so these scales definitely make the knife. The knife itself is pretty damn good too, but the scales are definitely an improvement. So to me at least, that's my final conclusion. And these are a really great pair of scales here. I would highly recommend them. And if you've got a Mini Bugout you love and you're looking to give it a new pair of classier pants, well then by God, this is a really good way to do it. So there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.